Okay, we are going to do 5.8 today, and this will be part 1. Our learning target for today, part 1, use x and y intercepts.
We need all SSA members to report to the gym for club pictures. All SSA
To
members
graph
to go to the gym
a
for pictures.
polynomial
Thank
function.
you.
Okay, so we're going to try to pull together everything we've been learning in this chapter to graph again. So before we start that, I have a question for you. What do zeros, factors, solutions, and intercepts have in common? So let's start with an example. If x equals 3 is a zero of a polynomial function, then what does that tell us? Okay. Well, one thing it tells us is x minus 3 is a factor of the polynomial. It also tells us that x equals 3 is a solution of the polynomial. Okay, and one more thing. It tells us that x equals 3 is an x-intercept of the graph of the polynomial. So I know you've heard me say before that zeros, solutions, and x-intercepts are all the same thing. They just have different context. And then we've added that x minus 3 then would have to be a factor that would have to go into the polynomial evenly if x equals 3 is a 0. Okay, so now for our learning target, let's use x and y intercepts to graph this function, this polynomial function. If you remember your pre-test that you took, you had one like this on it. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is find the degree of the polynomial. So you don't want to multiply this all out because that would take a lot of time. But if we multiplied this part out, we would have an x squared, and then we would have to multiply the x squared times this x, and we would end up with x cubed, which means our degree would be 3. So that's an odd degree, and this leading coefficient right here, the 1/4, is positive. So we have a positive odd. And from what we've done before in this chapter, we know the basic shape of a positive odd is high in the first quadrant, and it makes a loop and goes down and keeps going down in the third quadrant. Alright, that's going to help us graph this. Second, let's find the x-intercepts. And that's very easy to do when it's in this factored form like this. They've done the hard work and they've factored it for us. So if we look at this factor, we know that x equals -1 is an x-intercept. And if we look at the second factor, we know x equals 4. Positive 4 is another x-intercept. Now for third, let's find the y-intercept. We've done this in a lot of other equations, but we haven't done it in this context yet. And to find the y, you plug in x equals 0 into your equation. Okay, so if I plug in x equals 0 into our equation, it would look like this. Okay, and that would end up being 1/4 times 1 times -4, which is -1. Okay, now we're ready to make our graph.
We need all FBLA members, please go to the gym for pictures. All FBLA members, please go to the gym. Thank you.
Okay, we know the basic shape, and we have our x and our y-intercepts. So let's plot those points first. Make sure to get those points on your graph. Alright, x-intercept at -1 and +4. Y-intercept at -1.
We also need all FCA members to go to the gym. All FCA members, please go to the gym for pictures. Thank you.
Alright, now I know it's going to come down, but I'm not sure how low it's going to come here. So let's plug in x equals 2. Okay, if I plug in x equals 2 into the equation, I would also find out that my f of x, oops, that's a 1/4, sorry. This would come out to be -4.5. Alright, so let's plot that point. At 2, I would go down to -4.5 right here. Okay, so I think we're ready to make our graph. It's going to start up high, like we said, in the first quadrant, come down. It's only going to touch right here, and I'll tell you how I know that. This is a hint. If that 0 has a 2, we call it a double root, and that makes it only touch right there. Okay, this will help you graph these polynomial functions.